Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
But they are possible. The big dinosaur, the billion deals are possible. But I mean, you're gonna have a little luck, and I don't like to be in my model where I gotta depend on luck. And but when we had dinner with Simon the Bell in Hong Kong a couple of 3 months ago, and because I suffered the pain with him during those 2.5 years, and he said that he would never, ever, ever. If you want somebody to talk about cross borders, to convince him not to, you can have him call me because. But it was successful. But I mean, a lot of pain. And the money he was going to pull out was $180 million. He wound up pulling out $31 million.
Before it all went wrong.
Yeah, before it all went wrong.
Stole the rest.
But my $31 million is.
But you told him to do it.
Yeah, and I told him he wasn't going to do it.
Take the money out.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh no, I'm not going to leave 150 on the table." I said, "This will be the only money, if my intuition proves correctly or accurately, that it'll ever be paid out." And I was right. And of course, PwC didn't get paid. Nobody got paid. And they said, "Well, how did I know?" I said, "I just know. I've been in that part of the world long. Like I tell people, I've served my penance. Before you go to heaven, you have to have a penance. I've served 13 years in Asia. Okay.
13
years in Asia. Okay. 8.5 years in the Philippines. 4.5 years in India, and 1.5 years in China. And I paid my dues. I know that when you sign a deal, it doesn't mean anything. I know that everybody is, got their hand out. And so I've done my penance.
What about?
But there's still a lot of money. You can make a lot of money. But for example, in China, to get out of China, they want you to keep it in China to build the infrastructure. Now that's not what they tell you when they recruit you. But that's what they want. They don't take the money away from you or anything, but they don't want you to take it from Beijing to put it into New York City.
How did they stop you?
Everything, they closed down your factory. Now their factory was nothing.
And there are limits as well, like in South Africa, you can't move over 100,000 or 200,000 as a foreigner per year.
Yeah.
You need approvals.
Yeah, and because and you can't blame them, but in the old days they stole the money. In Russia, they stole your money when the wall came down. But now they're not doing that. But the billionaire oligarchs, whatever they're called, they all got their money in one way: stealing. And they were all, I'm told, buddies with, maybe not all of them direct buddies, but indirect buddies.
They bought companies on this super cheap.
Oh, they bought the oil company of Russia.
For nothing.
Like 100,000.
For nothing. I mean, literally peanuts.
And it became 20 billion.
And it was worth 20 billion in a year, and I don't know what it was now. And of course somebody knows this, but when a government collapses, and that's essentially what happened.
Well, the same in Romania.
Yeah, and many of the other Eastern Bloc countries.
What about cross-border deals in Europe? If we're starting in Britain and we want to start moving to Germany or Italy or Romania, what do we got to think about?
For example, if you're in cybersecurity, you have permits and you need approval, etc. But I mean, if you're in bedpans, you have to go through the bedpan approval process in Germany, and you have to go through the bedpan approval process. That's if you have people registered, qualified, need licenses, and almost all these need some sort of license.
For the dinosaurs, which are mostly strategic, especially in the Eastern Bloc, we need government approval.
Correct.
In the hand with the political party.
Correct. Correct. And Peter was able to get that done.
Yeah, 12 signatures.
Yeah.
Was that hard?
Much to his fucking credit.
Is it difficult?
Yeah, it is.
In Hungary?
I mean, if you're not there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sitting.
Yeah.
I said, sit there until you get a signature. And he sat there until he got a signature. And you shame him into signing, really. You embarrass them, whatever. I'm not sure the right word. Now, for me, it's I'm easy to embarrass or shame somebody. You know, I can clear out a restaurant in 30 seconds.
How?
I get up and jump on the table and say, the good news is I'm here, the bad news is here, I have a hand grenade in my pocket. You know?
But it's the same today in Romania. If you want to make a closed deal and you need a minister's signature, you have to travel to Bucharest and wait on the damn corridor until whenever he's able to give you the signature.
Yeah.
So you have to put that pressure. Otherwise, if you just sit in your city or wherever you are, good luck.
But Bulgaria is in chaos. Not like what do you call it? Iran, or not like Brazil, but I mean it's in chaos.
Still.
It's still because the communistic way of thinking still is permeated.
The generation is still there.
Yeah, they're still there.
And there's still assets there to buy.
Yeah, but there's still assets to buy.
You know, in this case, it was a smaller company buying a much larger company. I think you did something similar.
Yeah. We have one of we call it the minnow that swallowed the whale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Bow Valley, right?
Was that Bow Valley?
Yeah, but
Yes,
Bow Valley was 50 times bigger than we were.
50.
55.
And that was a great deal for you.
It was a good. It made me all of it instantaneously wealthy. I already had money. I had 18 million bucks before that.
Right.
Which I thought was money, but that made I made a couple $100 million in the stroke of a pen.
How'd you make it that fast? Because those assets were cheap.
No, because remember then I floated it on the London Stock Exchange
And on Dutch.
and on the Dutch Stock Exchange.
Yes.
And
you were the first.
And I was the first. I took. You cannot take an option. Well, you can't now. Then you could take an option public. You didn't. Nobody ever said. You know how I told you? It says you have to have equity in the deal, but it doesn't say it's your equity.
Right.
Well, nowhere on the forms and the templates and any stock exchange on the planet back in 1934 or 1984 said that you had only assets to take it public. Nowhere.
True.
Okay. And
they just assumed you would only do that. Right?
Okay. And I figured it out. But we had to get the Bank of England to approve. Okay. Because it was way outside the scope, made everybody nervous. We're going to be the first. What's going to happen to us? Meaning the London Stock Exchange. And and so I took a $60,000 option. That's all the money I had, and took it public and turned it into 300 million pounds, literally overnight.
On your birthday.
On my birthday. From August the 9th to August the 10th, I was worth a couple $100 million more due to my equity in the transaction.
And that was Great Western value that went up. And I owned 60%. 60% of that.
And we went public the same day Mr. Thatcher took Jaguar public. And they all said you can't go public. Jaguar's going to drain all the institutional money out. But they didn't. Jaguar 20% down, Great Western shares 20% up.
The option on Great Western is what it was. And most of those assets were in America and Canada.
American and Canada, and a little bit in the North Sea in Britain.
A little bit, it was still on the London Stock Exchange.
Oh, yeah. Because the fees that we were going to pay were less than $1 million. And the big boys on Wall Street weren't interested in fees that small. But the North Sea had just saved Great Britain from bankruptcy. The taxation on the North Sea saved Great Britain from bankruptcy. And the guy that discovered the North Sea is on my board.
That's why they got
Dryhold Dyke.
That's how you got listed.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't just come from some American company and list.
No, you can. But I also had Freshfields, the lawyers who represented the bank, the church, the Queen, and me.
Correct.
And the whole Dream Team concept, same concept. Correct. Except I was smart enough to know the guy founded the North Sea. UK didn't go bankrupt because of the North Sea. Taxation, it was a no-brainer. I just looked at a deal in there, and You got about 3/4 through the numbers. I said, yeah, it's doable. And the investment bank guy and Tony, well, how do you know so quick? And I said, I looked at a minute of these. So then when we reverse engineered it, I was $100,000 off. Not doing any numbers, just looking at a couple of the slides, I was $100,000 off. I'm surprised I was $100,000 off. I normally cut closer than that. But the 60-40 deal absolutely worked on this deal in there. And and it's a no-brainer. It had 515,000 EBITDA, free cash flow. Anyway, they're going to present it later. But because I can, now this is an investment banker with not a dissimilar background to yourself in your previous life. And he said, how did you do that so quick? And so then it took me 6-7 minutes to explain it. And then okay. But it's somebody on your board's got to be able to look at numbers that way.
And we'll get.
Otherwise, you'll be old men, and you're all young.
Spreadsheets.
You'll be old men by the time you do this. And your CFO and your accountant and maybe your CEO or whoever know how to do that quickly, but they're afraid of making a mistake. So the guy that's on Brian's board is going to say, well, I'll get back to you. When he knows in his gut it works. And then they go over the numbers like you do, 3 or 4 or 5 times, right? Just to make sure. But if it's the same information, you hit the send button, nothing's going to change. You can hit that send button up 50 billion times, right? And unless you change the input, nothing's going to change. So these guys know how to do it. They just do. I got no doubts about it. Even I was off $100,000, big deal. Okay? Now, if I was on a celebrity show and, the guests, this kind of shit, I would have won if I was off $100,000. Okay? But nobody else would have even gotten close. They show you the information in 15, 30 seconds, and I hit the buzzer, bam! Because I've seen, I trust my judgment. I trust my judgment. No, once in a while I'm wrong, but not too often. Not too often. It's like when I gave my help to Dan. I mean, whenever you think you're going to double your price, just intuitively you think you're going to lose half your customers. Or if not all your customers, right? I was so right. Fuck. I underestimated what lock he has on it. I mean, same as you. You got a lock on these fucking peasants. Okay? And I don't mean peasants in a negative way. Followers. His following. I mean, he can't walk down the fucking street in London. You think Elvis Presley's alive again,
Lucky Brian.
But he's got, there's a model there. There is a Ty Lopez tip in there. But now we're getting towards the top of the market when everybody's getting a fund and everybody's raising billions. It's like back in the Depression when the shoe shine guy is giving you stock tips.
Right. Get out.
When the barber at Bear Stearns used to give stock tips. The guy cut your hair, and of course he's hearing everybody that's coming through, and then you go check it with his MIT son. Does this sound okay?
Question about your in-house accountant and lawyer. Do you need them right away, or can you
need everybody right away?
Okay, so you can't lean on the Deloittes and the other ones.
No, because they're going to charge you.
Okay, that's delayed though.
Oh yeah, but it's delayed. But when they don't see anything and you just bring them deals, they're going to say, "You're not waiting for a board. You're not waiting for anything else. Well, then why are we looking at this now?" So when you bring the outside accountants and lawyers in to do due diligence and write contracts, employment contracts, etc., it's because you got 4 or 5 deals. I'm on a couple boards. I just told the kids, each one has got 1 deal. It's a hot deal, but I know. I want 5 deals on the table before we have a board meeting.
Hot deals.
Hot deals. Now, some of their deals are kind of coolish, but when you find a deal, like this deal that the kid was explaining, I mean, you go bonkers. Tick all the boxes, pull out $300,000 for myself, you lose focus. I mean, about looking at other deals.
Sure.
When you got the bill collectors pounding on your door,
And you don't send those to the outside accountants until your board approves.
No, you do your own due diligence.
First.
Yes, and if they pass muster, then you present them to the board as a whole.
Okay.
And that's when your first board meeting is. And like the German guy, Anders Milner, we decided to go forward of 3 of his 5 deals. 3 of his 5.
And then you send them to the outside lawyers and consultants on delayed fees.
No. Then, when you're doing the due diligence, if they're big enough, then the outside lawyers and accountants get involved.
Right.
Okay.
But for $1 or $2 million, you have more than enough horsepower.
Sure.
Now, your accountant may have not practiced accounting 25 years, and he'll be nervous to opine, okay? Because rules and regulations change in 25 years. But it's rarely that a smaller deal can't be done. The downside is when you don't use the outside advisors. If you fuck up and make a mistake, it's your mistake.
Yeah.
You can't hold anybody accountable but yourself, and you don't have those big international firms with deep pockets to pay.
And I think banks like that as well. When a firm, I'll say.
Oh yeah, when their reliability of earnings comes from a letter from KPMG, means a hell of a lot more than a letter from you and your board.
Yeah.
You know, we feel highly confident, used to be the word, we feel highly confident